All right, we need to plug ahead and get this sucker ready to go, despite our minor setback of cooler still leaking. So that's what we're gonna work on today. We'll get started on that right after this. Welcome back. If you haven't seen my videos before, I'm Rusty Oliver Man. Mighty Whitey here. Last time we got back up on all four tires again. And we just moved it forward a little bit and discovered our cooler still has holes of sadness. And we got her narrowed down to where it's actually leaking, and it's in the back one of, yeah, you know what I'm saying? So we got to get that out of there. So what to do? Well, I kind of figured that what's probably going to happen is when I take those lines loose, it's going to leak all the hydraulic oil out. And seeing as how that stuff is expensive, I would rather not keep pouring oil in it and watching it go away. And now that I look at this, I think it's leaking in about 3 places. So that's pretty handy. But what I'm gonna do is, I got some little hose menders. I'm gonna connect the two together so it just makes a loop. It'll keep it from leaking out, and then plus I can still move it around if I have to. And I might just plug ahead with trying to modify it and make it something else, because this is kind of ridiculous. And I'm afraid that no matter what amount of stuff they do, it's still gonna keep up this trick. So yeah. All right, I have no idea how this is gonna work, or if this is gonna work, or, you know, I hear that the wind is not quitting. It's going to, you know, work its best to destroy everything I own, it sounds like, for no reason. I think everybody else got everything planted this last weekend, and I did not. I sure would like to, but it's just not in the cards. Also, I've determined that these very Chinesium hose clamps are only good for tightening. They do not do well with coming loose again. And that's not really very handy when you're trying to, you know what I'm saying? I mean, now, are we gonna take a bath? Probably. Why wouldn't we? See if we're not too stupid. If we're just a little stupid, we can make this work. That one came loose. So that's going to leak now and fill up the entire compartment again with oil of sadness. All right, well, there's one loop of failure. Although you can't really see what's happening. What else is new? I mean, I'm very good about that. Why am I keeping this up there when... Cool! It's leaking out of the bottom in a different place, and it's covering me with oil. That's handy. Let's hope that these come loose. That one won't. I can tell you right now, probably. Well, it is falling back. All right, get out of there. Get out of there. See, that's a different compartment than That's hydraulic oil for definite, I would say. Come on, get out of there. All right, well, that kind of worked. I mean, it made a mess down in here, but I do notice something though, and I'm wondering if I'm just totally off on that or what. But based on the color of the oil, it seems like this is the hydraulic oil and this is the transmission oil, and that cooler setup I would think needs to be opposite. I would think that the transmission would be the smaller side and the hydraulic would be the bigger side, but maybe I'm wrong on that. In which case, it also makes me wonder if maybe I ought not just get a, like I was saying, convert it over and use two bigger ones or two wider ones stacked. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. We'll try this because this is what fits in here. And we'll work and work and work and then ultimately just do it anyway. So, all right. Well, probably would be smart to take the bottom ones loose first. It breaks my heart. I had that so nice and clean. And now we're right back to this nonsense. If we can just get through this year, next year's major repair to make the tractor better is going to be radiator and all these cooler updates, I think. But I would like to get one more year out of this stuff. And then we can mess with it after the wallet is recovered, because good grief, those tires hurt my feelings. I mean, that's a lot of money for some rubber circles. All right, so now we can kind of see what's what, but I believe it's leaking there and there and there. I think it's leaking on all three of those. And that's just the way she goes. And I think those are things that he did not do. You can see the ones he did do. And I think it just, either the heat from working on one melted another, or it just was also leaking and it didn't get caught. I don't know. But that is neither here nor there. We're gonna load her up in the escape here and run it over there. All right, cooler is at the shop, so that should be fine. They'll get that worked out, and hopefully that will be settled and we can move on from that. But I want to go ahead and change the oil on this whilst we're here so that that's done. Normally I try to do every other year and stuff, but this particular tractor, since it, that's a lot of trash in there, ADD kicked in, sorry. You know, it's working pretty hard when it's going, and I think it's, yeah, you see what a year does. It's pretty black, so probably just go ahead and change it about every year, you know. So that's what we'll do. All right, how much failure will this be? Well, I'm not sure exactly, but I know how much I'm going to use. So, one thing I like is laying in the dirt. I mean, that is my lot in life. There we go. Where are you? Ratchet, I just had you. Okay, come on, you! All right, is this gonna make a mess? Very, very possibly. Would a guy get a funnel probably, if he was smart, but he won't, because he's not. Let's get ourselves positioned for failure. Get ourselves where we can see what's happening, but we're also not gonna get drenched with oil. Also, a thing that a guy should have done is should have got him some paper towels immediately, you know, to kind of keep from having problems. But he didn't do that either. So, sure. Whilst that's going down, there ain't no sense in sitting there and babysitting that. Maybe get our filters changed whilst that's happening. All right. Let's get that off of there. Okay. Maybe. Or not. There. I should have done that trick where people say to poke a hole in the bottom of the filter, and I didn't do that thing. So now we're gonna just stand by for a second, because otherwise I'm gonna get drenched. Sure. We might as well take this other one loose. I did get some blue towels, but they quickly became not blue anymore. But that is life. Now we're going to give it a quick check over and make sure that, which is very important if you're changing oil. Let's take you in on the action, see? But always make sure that your rubber piece came off of the old filter, because I have known that to happen where it stayed behind and a guy put the filter on, happily driving along, and made it about halfway to town in his pickup and realized he was almost out of oil. So, and that wasn't me, but I'm just saying I know that that can happen. And after hearing that story, I've always been very diligent about checking for that rubber ring, making sure that it came off with the old filters. Lube up your rubber. That's just good etiquette there. And then you're ready to put that on. All right. There's one. Oh, making a mess, But it's fine. We'll get it. Come on. There. All you gotta do is complain a little, and it'll come right off. All right, I think we're good there. If anything, that's a little too much, but filter's on. Now we will put our drain plug back in and start filling it with oil. All right, well, you can kind of pour it in here without a funnel. just gotta be nice. Also, this is one of those times you're probably not going to get a very good shot, but that is life. All right. Probably better check it there. Set that there for a second. There you go. It's so clean, you can't hardly tell what's what. It's a little past full, but that one filter wasn't perfectly full. I don't think. I didn't let it burp. See, that's more in line with exactly where it's supposed to be on the full dots. So, I think I'm going to start it up now. And I guess what's going to happen is I'm going to get the jump pack out and start it up, because I bet it won't run. I bet my batteries have had their last day, but we should be able to run it with our service loops here and not have any issue. But we'll find out. Okay, are we ready to find out the batteries are still dead? Oh, what a surprise. There we go. We got oil pressure. We got transmission loop pressure. That light went out. She's a wild horse. Let's double check our oil level. Nice clean oil now. It appears we are still good, as we should be. Up here it's like right on the F of full. When you flip it over, look at the back side. So that's acceptable. It will burn some. It burns a slight bit. Not too bad though. I do have coming in the mail, and not here yet, a new exhaust manifold for this side and the gaskets accordingly. I'm not sure of the part number of that gasket. I think I found it, so we'll have to compare to the new manifold when it gets here and see before we take this one off. But it's cracking there. It has been cracked there, and somebody tried to repair it, but it is cracked so badly underneath that it's burning my cable. So that has got to be fixed. And for a long time I could not find that style manifold, but here recently I found some, and they weren't that expensive, maybe a couple $100. The other side though, it's also cracked and should be replaced, but I couldn't find this side the same reasonably priced. It was like $100 more. So I'm going to keep looking and try to find this one as well. It's also cracked badly, but it's cracked on the top and not underneath, so it isn't really hurting anything as much as the other side. The other side is right now needs to be fixed type of thing, and we'll hunt down that other one and then get it done. But for a long time you couldn't find any manifolds, and then when you did, they were like $1,000 a pair, and now we're down to a couple $100 a pair, and that is the price at which I will buy parts and slap her on. So yeah, I don't know what the real application of this style manifold was, because this is not the tractor manifolds. I don't believe this is a different engine. I'm 99.9% sure. And when you look up the serial number on the Caterpillar Partsware website, it was in like a feller buncher or something, some kind of tree equipment, I think. So at any rate, it will be better than what it is now. We just gotta make that thing happen. Should be a fairly simple fix, just some bolts. You know, I've had these out because I put these stainless shields on it. So there's 4 bolts that we haven't had loose yet, and then the 4 bolts that hold that flange on. But the nice thing there is they're through bolts, so if they twist off, no big deal, and we'll be in business. So yeah, it's just a matter of getting that done. Like I said, I've been looking around, and the other day I finally found what I'm after. So if we get that done, it will have gotten new tires this year, manifolds, cooler repair. I mean, she's coming along. Like I said, the next year's project is this radiator, because it's kind of a mess. It seeps. I run it with the cap loose so that it doesn't build a tremendous amount of pressure, and then I just top it off every day, and it's pretty good. I mean, so even if it leaks, is what I'm saying, you're still going to have water up to here, and you know, that's well above the engine. So the engine's always got water in it. There's no danger of that. It's just that extra reserve amount. Yeah, but we're coming along. Like I said, I fear taking this out now. What they're going to say is it's got to be re-cored, and that will be an expensive proposition that I don't really want to do right now if I don't have to, because I'm guessing that'll be in the neighborhood of a couple $1,000 to have that re-cored, because that's a pretty darn big radiator, you know. So we're going to limp that along, but now I'm not afraid to take it on the road as much or anywhere. Before, I was kind of like, I didn't really want to take it very far, because I was always afraid I was going to blow a tire. But tires we're good at now. All that stuff. One day we need to dismantle all this and fix the top pivot link thing. Needs work. It's pretty clunky. You can hear when you're turning. If you keep it greased up real good, it's fine. You shouldn't have any problems. I mean, ever, really. It's already got the updated style of pin, which is the 4-bolt style in there. There's actually a service bulletin on replacing those with that style, with 4 bolts. So if that's what you've already got the updated style. But that is neither here nor there. That will do us this time. This doesn't get, I mean, it gets a lot of use when it gets use, but then it sits a lot of the time, you know. It has a very specific purpose, and you know, now that I got the 9650, that shares half the load. Otherwise I would have to hook this. I was switching back and forth between the two, and so there you have it. I like the 9650, but I don't. It's a kind of a two-edged sword. I like the cab in the 9650. It's got a very nice air conditioner, so on a very super hot day, it's pleasant to ride in there, and it's comfortable. I don't think that it's overly any more quiet than this one. I've talked about that before. But the big thing that I don't like about the 9650 is the turning radius obviously is not as much as this. The articulated tractor just turns on a dime, and quite honestly, I would like to find either like a 4150 and use that on the soil finisher, or I would like to find a 4210 and put that on the disc and put this one on the soil finisher. Either way would be acceptable, because I like running these. I mean, they're fun to run, and I don't know, this is really kind of too small for that disc I got. A 4210 would handle it much more handily, I think, just because it's beefier the way it's made. I mean, the articulation joint on the 4210 is much heavier. It was interesting, like when we went to that collection tour and looked at the 2655 on the older four-wheel drives like that, they had figured it out with the articulation joint. They had an upper and a lower connection point, and then your steering was kind of in the middle. And then on these, the 4150 and 4180, they went back to backwards in progress, is what I'm saying, I think, because now you basically, your bottom link is your only connection, and then your top link is your steering. It also does some of the connection, but 99% of your load is right there on that bottom pin. It would be awfully hard to rip one in half. I'm not saying that you couldn't do it. I mean, anything's possible. People can tear up a sandbox, but you know, you're gonna have a lot more movement before you'd actually rip it in half. I don't think you would do that easily. Like I said, anything can be done, but I just don't think. But it's funny that they went to this and then they realized this wasn't the way, and then they went back to a beefier setup on the later 4175, 4210, and so on and so forth through the line. But I mean, these though, I guess that's part of the difference too. The 2655, they said those castings and stuff were not the same as row crop tractor castings. The gears inside might have been, but the tractor was made as that tractor, whereas this one is made from pieces of row crop tractors, you know, like from right here back is the same as a rear end on a row crop tractor, and then from that point this way is one that's turned around backwards the other way, and with your transmission gears and everything in it. So it's basically two row crop tractors hooked together, and then they made this center articulation joint to adapt them together. So it was more of a try to save money and use parts that we already own to make this happen, and that was, I think, their big failure there, or they didn't do it heavy enough, you know. So, but it is a nice tractor for what it is. Like I said, I spent $4,000 on it when I bought it, and I have since tripled my money by buying tires for it. So now we're up to like $12,000, $13,000 that I got in this thing, but that was over the last 6 or 7 years, so that's not too bad a deal. That's why I like buying them when get them as cheap as you can, and then make them a little better over time, because it's the budget way to do it, I guess you'd say. I could go out and find one right now that some guy was asking $15,000 for and buy it, and it might be a piece of garbage. So that's kind of the thinking on the way I've bought pretty well everything I got. But yeah, so I think we'll call this one here, and we will see what tomorrow brings. You know, I'm hoping that we get that cooler back fairly soon so we can slap this together and start going. If that other cooler doesn't work when it comes back, then we're going to I shouldn't have disturbed that. Now I made it drip. But then we're going to adapt our other style coolers and go. So that's our plan, and we'll see how it works out. As always, if you enjoy my videos, give them a thumbs up. That helps out the channel, and it doesn't cost you anything. Leave a comment. Tell me that you liked it, or tell me that you hated it. Tell me I'm a moron. I really don't care, but anything that you say helps us out too. So Thank you again, as always, for watching, and I will see you in the next one.